Welcome to Bet On It. Kelly Stewart here at Kelly in Vegas. This is Bet On It, powered by Wager Talk TV, and it is NFL Week 4. Let's bring in Marco D'Angelo and Joe Raineri. We're going to get right into it. We've got primetime games, TNA, Prop Shop. We're going to find out how high Joe is, whether the deli's back open, barking dogs. We're going to see what LVC has up his sleeve. And, of course, best bets at the end of the show. Welcome in, gentlemen. We're going to go right into it. Thursday night primetime game. Detroit, 1-point favorite at Green Bay. Total 45. Marco, I really wanted to tease the Packers here, but I missed it. Plus 1.5. You snooze, you lose sometimes.
You do. You can always tease the other side. You know, if you're just doing numbers, the number's still there, but that's for another day. I'm looking at this one, Kelly, and when I started out on this game, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to take Detroit in the game because you're looking at the game and you're looking at Green Bay. They won a game they shouldn't have won last week. But when you have games like that with teams, they win ugly. Sometimes those ugly wins are what starts a team on a winning streak. Green Bay's schedule, they've had pretty favorable. They faced Chicago. They faced Atlanta, and then they faced the Saints last week. Well, Chicago, quarterback Justin Fields. Atlanta, you got Desmond Ridder. And then last week, you had Derek Carr for just a bit. The point I'm making is it looks like the Green Bay defense has played well. They've only given up 20, 25, and 17 points. I'm pointing out those quarterbacks because those quarterbacks aren't lighting the world on fire. Derek Carr, I don't know how many points he would have ended up with had he not got injured. What I'm making reference to is this week they faced Jared Goff, and this is the best offense they faced so far, and they're doing it on a short week. They are familiar with Detroit, obviously a division rival, but I think you're going to see points in this game. What's Detroit done? Well, they've done what they generally do. They're scoring some points. Last week they were held to just 20 points against Atlanta, but they never really had to score points because Atlanta didn't do anything in that game. I think you're going to see both teams score. I know Monday, the primetime night games have been all under so far this season, and I know that makes Kelly happy with those primetime unders, but this is one where I'm going the other way. I think people are going to expect a division rivalry, expect it to be low scoring, and it's going to be anything but. Detroit is going to score. They're going to score some points, forcing Green Bay to get out of their comfort zone, and we'll see what Jordan Love's made of. Yeah, he brought him back from 17-0 last week. Let's see what happens this week. He's actually doing it against a much easier defense. I think they trade points. I'm going over 46. I see this as a 31-27, 27-24 type of game. Either way, either score, that's over the total of 46.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with Marco here, Joe. We know you can't run against the Lions. This Packers team was life and death last week, but they might not be this week. I can't make up my mind on this one, but I definitely want no part of this under.
Not exactly a game I'm excited to run to the window at when you got two middle-of-the-road teams as far as I'm concerned. But I think we do know what Jordan Love is at this point, Marco, and he's a quarterback that completes 53% of his passes, and that's it. Now, what we do have also is one team that has really been pretty good in this rivalry as of late. I believe 3 in a row now for Detroit. They also happen to be Detroit 6-0 against the number when facing division opponents since the start of last year. They're also 18-8 against the number versus conference opponents since the start of 2021. So this is a Detroit team that in spots like this over the last couple of seasons has been bet on. And I can't help but to look at the common opponents thing. We're looking at a Green Bay team. Now, they do have some injuries, and it is worth noting. Make sure you understand what's going on with Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Make sure you understand it if the offensive line is going to be there. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries over the last couple of weeks, but that hasn't stopped them from playing both the Saints and the Falcons to a 42-42 tie the last couple of weeks here. Yet, we did watch Detroit pretty much manhandle Atlanta, won 20-6. They also won on the road against Kansas City, 20 in that, what was it, that Thursday night opener, which was a great win. If it ain't broke, don't fix it here. Detroit has been money in this spot over the last couple of years. I don't see any reason to believe that 53% completion percentage is somehow all of a sudden going to elevate this Green Bay team at home over this Detroit team. I think Detroit believes they can win. I believe Detroit will win when it's all said and done by the end of this game. So, although I ain't running to bet it, my money would be on Detroit if you forced me.
Joe, another game I'm not running to bet. That is the Sunday night primetime game. Kansas City is a 9.5-point favorite at the New York Jets, total 42.5. Kansas City going to be a popular survivor pick this week, unless, of course, you are saving them for either Thanksgiving or Christmas. Are they playing Christmas? Just Christmas. Unless you're just saving them just for Christmas. Gosh, my brain is fried on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Joe Raineri, the Jets. Sounds like there might be some locker room turmoil. I sent a text to our friend group and said, oh boy, everybody is pissed about Zach Wilson. Hearing rumblings out of New York. Is there trouble in paradise?
Of course there's trouble in paradise. They know he sucks. The fans know he sucks. Saleh knows he sucks. Everybody knows he sucks. But the problem is that every time Saleh goes to the microphone and he's like, oh, he's our guy. We believe in him. He's going to be... And, you know, at some point the defense is going, really? You got to be kidding me. But listen, as long as he is the guy in New York, I will continue to try to find as many different ways to bet an under when it comes to Jets, either full game, first half, first quarter, team total, you name it. I am looking to back as many unders as humanly possible, including in this game, because the defense, although they're getting antsy, they are a prideful group here, and they don't want anybody pointing a finger at them saying, oh, yeah, you're so worried about Zach Wilson, but yet you guys are giving up all of these points. Kansas City still, I have some concerns about this offense this year with them. Still a lot of new moving pieces there, new coordinator, a lot of new parts I'm not completely sold on, especially against a better defense. So I do think the Jets will show up defensively. I do think that the only way to bet Jet games from here is look at the unders, first half, full game, Jets team total. They are going to have a problem moving the ball against this Kansas City defense. Kansas City will have no problem winning it, but the only way I would look at this is totals in this game.
Marco, how are you looking at this Sunday night game? As I mentioned, I want no part of it, but I think I might just have to at least put one survivor pick in for Kansas City.
Kelly, it is Sunday night football. It is prime time. It's a home dog. It's a better defense getting points.
Trust me, Marco. Marco, I had to sweat a teaser with this team last week. A teaser. Mm-hmm. I got to get a backdoor cover with. Like, I don't trust his team. You know, we talk about this all the time. Sometimes you just have to hold your nose and do it. But this team is beyond that.
Now, I'm going to hold my nose and I'm going to do it because I'm not sold on Kansas City, okay? This is a spot where everybody's going to overreact. On paper, Kansas City and Mahomes are supposed to run roughshod over this Jets team. It's not, you know, they put up 41 last week. That was against the Bears defense. The Bears defense sucks. Look at what happened the first 2 weeks. They only scored 20 against Detroit. They only scored 17 at Jacksonville. Jacksonville and Detroit don't have defenses anywhere as good as the Jets. And at some point, you know, if you're saying Zach Wilson's your guy, if you're the head coach of the Jets and you keep telling that lie, let him throw the football, okay? See what happens. You cannot run the football on first and second down every single possession and then try to throw third and long. It doesn't work. They've got nothing to lose in this one. Go ahead and throw the kitchen sink at Mahomes with that defense. And because it is a Sunday night game, it is a national TV audience, there is dissension in the locker room. What you're getting is the offense and the defense divided. They're not going to throw the towel in on national TV. I'm going to go ahead and give the Jets the shot here. The line is 9.5 right now. Wait till Sunday. See if this gets to 10. If you lose the 9.5 and it goes to 9, what are you losing? That's not an important number like 10, if we can get to 10. And I think when the public gets involved, it will get to 10. And when the Swifties get involved, because now Taylor Swift's followers are following football now.
I'm cutting you off there right now. I'm cutting you off there right now. We are not talking about this on this show. Stop it, stop it, stop it. They are not getting involved. No sportsbooks are going to get them to download their app and fund it, even if it means a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. So everybody stop with this insanity. Yes, these women spend $5,000 on concert tickets because they're absolutely out of their minds, but we are not talking about it on this show. Marco, I'm pivoting back. We're now going Monday night primetime game. Seattle, 1.5 point favorite, or excuse me, 1.5 point underdogs at the New York Giants. Total 47. This one's tough. I texted my friend group earlier, Marco. They said, who hates themselves enough to lay it with the New York Giants on Monday Night Football? I took 6.5 with the Panthers in all my stale contests last week and thought, okay, Andy Dalton, he can get it done. Nope. Geno Smith and that offense, late score, and then another one to pile it on. Seattle's rocking and rolling. Do you have the guts to take the primetime home favorite here?
I don't know if I have the guts, Kelly, but you know what I do have? I have an opportunity to set myself up to make some money on the Monday night game either way. And what I'm going to do right now, this line is at 1.5. Okay. We know the Giants have been a train wreck pretty much. Okay. The schedule maker did them no favors having them play back-to-back weeks on the road. And that second week in a row, both on the West Coast, they had to play on a short week on a Thursday against the non-division rival that you're not familiar with. So that was a big injustice to the Giants schedule-wise. But what happens to them this week? They go from the worst scenario to the best scenario. They're playing from last Thursday to Monday, as long of a gap as you could have. So that is an advantage for the Giants. And you got Seattle playing on the road for the second week in a row. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tease that 1.5 up. Get me over a touchdown. I'm going to try to find teasers on Sunday that I like, and I will put 1-unit plays on somebody in Seattle. Somebody in Seattle. Do you see a pattern? Somebody in Seattle. So that when I come into Monday night and we're looking at a line that's 1.5 that even possibly could go down and we get closer to a pick'em, I can play the Giants on the money line. And come Sunday or come Monday, depending how I feel on the game, if I change my mind, what you can do, all of those live teasers, you can either bet Giants money line, half of the amount for your live teasers, all of your amount for the live teasers and play the 7-point middle. Or if I end up really liking the Giants, I come over the top and play the Giants for 1.5 units or 2 units of whatever I have live and set me up with a 7-point middle for a possible big score. That's how I'm going to play this Monday night game. Use it as an investment opportunity. Is that okay?
Love to hear it.
I got yelled at for the Swifties, but okay.
Yeah, because we just can't talk about that on the show. I understand everybody else is doing it for clout. Actually, during one of our commercial breaks, I saw that my girlfriend, the witch, her astrology prediction made McAfee, and everybody's going nuts in the group chat. I'm like, you guys, I had to just mute the entire chat. So I had to mute you as well because I'm tired of talking about her. Joe Raineri, this one's tough, but the Giants have a rest advantage off getting their ass kicked in San Francisco last week. I look at them to have a bounce back spot here, and maybe the public's going to come in really heavy here on Seattle. But I do agree with Marco. I think this is going to be a tight game, kind of lean towards the under. Help me make sense of why the Giants are laying 1.5 on Monday Night Football.
Well, I'll tell you this. The Giants last year took a trip to Seattle. And at that point in the season, I think they were 5-1 or 6-1. They had a nice little winning streak going. And then they went to Seattle and they lost by 2 touchdowns. I cannot trust this Giants team in any way, shape, or form. I believe Jamal Adams, as well as corner Tariq Woolen, look to be back this week. So the defense of Seattle looks to be getting healthier, and they'll have those two key guys in the back end. I also think, good old Wink Martindale there in this defense with a little extra time, have to figure out ways to get pressures on quarterback. They blitz more than any team we have seen thus far, and they can't seem to get any pressures on a quarterback. I do think that's their number one priority, is they've got to get to Geno Smith. They've got to make him feel the pressure. Ultimately, though, this is a Monday night game, and anybody that's been paying attention, no way are we getting a shootout between these two teams on a Monday night. This is ultimately going to be like watching paint dry. Seattle is going to try to run the ball, and run it some more. And then, of course, you're going to have Danny Dimes trying to figure out where it went all wrong as he's counting the money that the Giants just gave him, and he is burning it every time he gets under center. I don't see a lot of offense in this one. I do think, especially with Seattle's defense getting healthier, having Adams back, having Woolen back, I think points are going to be hard to come by. This thing opened up at 47 count. I don't see us getting to 47 points with these two teams. I think this is maybe a 24-10 type of situation, 27-13, somewhere along those lines. And no, I will be backing the under 47 on Monday night with these two teams.
All right, the pen and glasses can only mean one thing. It's time for some trends and angles with Ralph Michaels. Ralph, I put the glasses on early today because you told me that you did a little research for me that I requested. You also did it in the college football show, so of course we had to do it in the NFL. This one is rather interesting. Tell me what you found here.
Well, I'm going to start with a general question, Kelly. If I ask a bunch of people in the bar, do you think NFL division games tend to go over or under? And do you think non-division games tend to go over or under? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to guess most people think that division games go under more than non-division games.
I love divisional unders. Yeah, I love divisional unders.
So do I. But take a look at this chart, guys. This goes back to 2019. If you look at every regular season division game, they do go under 51.2% of the time. So I'm not saying they don't, but non-division games have actually gone under 53.4%, more than division games. That actually surprised me, Kel, and I'm sure it surprised you as well. So here's the month-to-month breakdown and the season-by-season breakdown. You'll see the top chart are non-division games. And let's remember, in 2020, you see non-division games went over 55.3% of the time, but that was the COVID season. The other years, 50%, 41%, and they're 43.8% this year. Division games on the bottom, you'll see that 2019 was 50.6%, but the rest of the way down are all under 48.7% or lower. And over on the right-hand chart, the months by months, look at non-division games for September and October, Kelly, 38% and 42.5% for non-division games early in the season. Later in the year, 56%, 51%, and 57%. So defenses are healthier in the beginning of the season. You're playing opponents you don't know as well. You're traveling to stadiums you're not accustomed to. And we see unders early in the year. Later in the year, those non-division games have gone over the total. And as far as division games, you'll see it's been pretty consistent month by month. November, by far the lowest month. Games have gone over only 43.2%, meaning they've gone under 56.8. These charts and all the quick hitter trends and angles, Kelly, always uploaded on the PDF every Wednesday night on my homepage.
You love it. I appreciate Ralph doing the hard work for me. I knew there was something a little wonky about those later in the season totals. Ralph, you got 4 systems, trends, or angles for us this week in the NFL. Let's hear them.
Well, the first, we're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers. What happens when a team was trailing by 9 points or more at halftime and won the game? Well, those teams that exerted that energy, came back to win the game since 2012 have only gone 38%. So if you're looking at that Thursday night game, the Packers in a 38% ATS situation. And I just want to take 1 second here, Kel. And while this is the NFL segment, I want to talk about college football for a second. We hear the college football TNA, we hear the NFL TNA, and just to show you how you have to handicap them differently, I went to college football since 2012, and I looked at college football teams that trailed by 9 points or more at halftime and won the game. In the NFL, those teams have gone 38%. In college football, those teams this week like Northwestern, Toledo, Hawaii, and Texas Tech that were trailing by 9 points or more at halftime won the game, won 52%. So NFL 38, college football 52, you have to treat them completely separately. System number 2, you win a game as a dog of 6 or more, and now you're a dog of 6 or more again. This goes all the way back to 2010, Kelly, and the ATS record, 20 wins, 55 losses. That is 26.7% against the spread. Who pulled the upset last week and burned a lot of Circa Survivor teams? That would be Arizona. They pulled the upset, and they're a dog again this week. Arizona in a 26.7% ATS situation. 2 more. You lost your last game as a dog. You now have revenge against this foe, and you're a favorite. I actually thought this would be a positive, but it's not. The Denver Broncos, I could say your Denver Broncos, unless they're not anymore after the start this season, and the New York Giants, both lost as a dog and now are a favorite with revenge. Those teams are 32.8% against the spread since 2017. The COVID season is excluded, so that says to fade Denver and fade the New York Giants. And the last one, this surprised me as well, Kelly. A team is playing a division foe, has double revenge, and is now a dog or a favorite of up to 6 points. Since 2017, the teams with double revenge, playing a division foe, and I said they were a dog or a small favorite. They are just a small favorite. My correction on that. So double revenge, they're a division favorite of up to 6. So a small division favorite since 2017 have gone only 29% against the spread. That surprised me as well. How many times are we going to hear the Saints have double revenge? The Colts have double revenge. They're now the favorite. 20 ATS wins, 49 ATS losses. That says to fade New Orleans, fade the Colts, as those teams are in a 29% ATS situation.
He is Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV. Again, WT.buzz/RM. You can get all of his nerd charts, trends, situations, and angles. Ralph, thank you for today. We're going to take these glasses off so I can actually see again and pivot over to some props. Prop shop time with Andy Lang. Andy Lang at Bum Sports here on Bet On It. Andy comes in every week, gives me a prime time prop, then gives me his best bet. And of course, we have to go head to head with my best bet. He always loves to come in and bring a contrarian play there. Andy Lang, I kind of threw you for a loop. Marco and I were arguing on who got to have which best bet, so I actually don't know which game we're talking about here. Let's do the primetime game here first. The Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers.
Let's take Jordan Love over 32.5 pass attempts. Detroit, they gave up 39 attempts to Mahomes in week 1. Detroit gave up 41 attempts to Geno Smith in week 2, and they gave up 38 attempts to Desmond Ridder. If you're giving up 38 attempts to Desmond Ridder, you're certainly going to give up over pass attempts to Jordan Love. Jordan Love gets Christian Watson back. He also gets Aaron Jones back. But here's the big key. Detroit is a great rush defense, 5th best in the NFL. They only allow 3.2 yards per carry. The way to attack this team is through the air. I think Jordan Love has a pretty good game passing, as I believe the rushing game is going to get stuffed. You've got Aaron Jones coming back, maybe a little bit rusty. A.J. Dillon stinks. He's not going to get anything going. So Give me Jordan Love to throw the ball quite a bit, especially if this game is close. I love the over 32.5 pass attempts.
All right. And as I mentioned, Marco and I were a little in disagreement on who got to use which team as the best bet. So, Andy, you got to tee yourself up with this one. Where are you going in your contrarian play against my new best bet or old one?
Yeah, could you pick a game, please? Let's go with the Bills and Dolphins here. I love James Cook over 55.5 rushing. He rushed for 98 yards against Washington. He rushed for 123 yards against Las Vegas. Only rushed for 46 against the Jets. That's a good rush defense. Dolphins give up 112 yards rushing per game, and he is the clear number one back in Buffalo. Last 2 games, he's had 32 carries to 10 for Damian Harris, so we know he's going to get the lion's share of the carries. When you're playing this Dolphins team, you really want to try and slow down their offense by keeping them off the field. I think this is a Bills team that is going to attack on the ground. Josh Allen will run the ball, but I think James Cook is going to be a big, big part of the offense on the ground. I was really surprised to see how low this number is, so I will happily take James Cook over 55.5 rushing yards.
I think Marco and I will both be happy with that one. Andy, before you give me your best bet, do you have anything to promote over at Wager Talk?
Yeah, if you want to use the promo code ANDY1000, so it's ANDY1000, it gets you half price for a year of plays or well over 100 units just in 2023. It's a flash special. We're only going to run it for a couple days. Take advantage of it. It includes all 5% plays. We're 3-0 in NFL 5% plays. Perfect 4-0 in college football plays. So use a promo code ANDY1000, half price off a year, full pass, all sports, including 5% plays.
All right, Andy, give me your best bet for this week in the NFL.
As the great Joe Raineri says, if it ain't broke, let's take Miles Sanders over 2.5 receptions. He's had 4 and 3 with Bryce Young as quarterback, and then he had 5 last week with Dalton at the helm. And I think this game is going to be a little bit of a shootout here. So Dalton threw the ball 58 times last week, and I don't expect this Panthers team to be up. So Miles Sanders got a lot of targets. He almost got over 2.5 receptions, Kelly, on the first series last week. He had 2 on the first series, and he had a third that got called back from penalty. So this is a really, really solid play. This may be the last week we get 2.5 receptions. He goes over. But I expect the Panthers to be playing from behind. If we get another 50-plus pass attempts from Dalton, surely some is going to go to Sanders. He's the one that catches passes out of the backfield. So give me Miles Sanders over 2.5 receptions.
See, Andy, it all worked out in the end. I pivoted with my best bet, and you still came in and brought me a prop bet. That's a little sneak peek for the end of the show. He is Andy Lang at Bump Sports on Twitter. Make sure you guys are giving him a follow. Again, promo code ANDY1000 is to get his package for the end of the year. All right, guys, we are going to pivot, bring back in Marco and Joe for some of those barking dogs. Are you high? Find out if the deli's open. I'm a little sick to my stomach after the sandwich that Marco fed me in the college football edition, but I'm going to power through the rest of this show. Marco, tell me the deli isn't going to poison me again.
Kelly, the sandwiches have been great. Come on. You love the sandwiches. It's the end result, Kelly. And now this one's almost too easy of a sandwich, okay? And it's tasty. It's something you're going to like. So if it goes south, just remember it tasted tasty going down. We're going to take a look at Houston plus the points. And yeah, I'm going against my Pittsburgh Steelers, and why not? You want to talk about a sandwich situation? First of all, the Steelers had their second home opener on national TV on Sunday night. Did you tune in and see Allegiant Stadium? The black and gold took it over. It was actually embarrassing for the Raiders organization, for the Steelers to have basically 70% of the attendance on Sunday night. They won that game. Now they play a second week in a row on the road. Okay, no big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal because look at who they play next. They have a big division game against their arch rival at home the following week. Yes, Baltimore. So you're getting that big Sunday night game with the Raiders sandwich this week with Houston on the road. and Baltimore next week, sign me up. I don't even have to break down statistics. I'm already on Houston. And we're looking at it. Hey, who's been the best quarterback out of this year's crop? Yep, that's been C.J. Stroud. And take a look at the Steeler offense. They're still not going up and down the field yet. Do you want to lay points on the road with the Steelers? I don't think so. You know me. I love the Steelers, but I love money more. My money's on Houston on Sunday. Swallow that sandwich, Kelly. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, Marco, Houston made my long list. They got the outright win for me last week. This one was not as tough to stomach, so thank you for keeping me from having to reach for the bottle of Pepto. Joe Raineri, sometimes when your stomach hurts, there's other things that can help with that too. This is time for Are You High?
Yeah. Well, after those two sandwiches, you could absolutely use a little reprieve there, kind of work back up the appetite. But I think we're not high enough here. I think we got to include another gummy or two here, because I'm looking at the over in this Arizona and San Francisco 49er battle here. And the overachievers of the week give that trophy to the Arizona Cardinals, who, 30 rushes, 222 yards on the ground against a defense that you weren't supposed to be able to run on in Dallas. But that wasn't an anomaly. We've seen this Arizona team give the Giants all sorts of fits. Everybody they have faced this point has been a problem. Now, the big problem for Arizona is that the 49ers don't care. And the fact that they blew them out by 25 and 28 points a year ago tends to let me believe that 30 points are coming for the 49ers in this one. It is going to be earned, though. Make no mistake about it. I think the 49ers are not going to be sleeping on Arizona. I think they're going to absolutely, if they can keep their foot on the gas, they absolutely will, because they don't want any sort of comeback situation here by this Arizona team, who is playing, kind of feels like they're playing with house money here, doesn't it? They are playing free, they're playing loose, they're playing fast, they are out muscling teams, they're taking teams and punching them as soon as the game starts. San Francisco, I think, is going to punch back rather quickly. Either way, I thought 42, which is what I had it at yesterday, was too low. It's up to 44 now. I still think this is too low. I'm expecting the 49ers to get at least 30 in this game here, and I don't think we'll have a problem with Arizona getting into 17 points in this one. So I am looking at the over, not high enough as far as I'm concerned, with Arizona and the 49ers tomorrow.
Yeah, I just did a video for our friends at the Superbook, and I said 49ers best 3-0 team. Let's hope they don't ruin my Survivor hopes. Not with John Murray, of course, because we used them last week. This week with the Arizona Cardinals, they have been a fun barking dog this last couple of weeks, Marco. And on that note, I'm going to kick it to you for your barking dog for NFL Week 4.
Well, Kelly, I'm coming with another big dog, and we're looking at a 7-point dog. We're going to go with New England, and I am going to subscribe to the theory. You give me the better defense, getting points, I'm going to look that way. And I know everybody was talking about this Dallas defense after the first couple of weeks of the season, but let's be realistic. They played the Giants, who shot themselves in the foot all night long in that game, in that 40-0 defeat. And then they played the Jets in week 2, and we've already bashed the Jets offense on this show. Now Dallas is playing New England. And although New England's not an offensive juggernaut, they can move the football. Mac Jones has thrown for 200 or more yards in all 3 games. Last week, against a very good Jets defense, New England ran for 157 yards. Now, I'll be honest, generally, I don't like to step in front of a team that was coming off an embarrassing loss as a big favorite, as Dallas was last week. But then I remembered, who's the coach? It's Mike McCarthy. Who's the coach of New England? Bill Belichick. Yeah, I'll go with the better coach in this one. I'll go with the better defense. I'll take the points. I'm going to go with New England. Dallas has the number 12 defense, allowing 5.2 yards per play, but they're going up against the New England defense that's number 4, allowing just 4.6 yards per play. Going to be a close one. I think New England can pull this one out. I'm calling it New England 24-21 Give me those 7 points. And don't forget the little sprinkle.
Oh boy, Joe. Marco is coming in hot after you said he had a little one last week. Big dog in college football, big dog in the NFL, both with the sprinkles. Who do you got bringing the upset this week, Joe Raineri?
Well, nobody likes to be a show-off here, so I'll let Marco have his length today. I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one here, and the Ravens, a little shorter of a dog here, but nonetheless, I like the chances of the Ravens to be able to bounce back from what was a terrible, as Marco would say, sandwich spot last week there against Indianapolis, in which they threw up all over themselves. But now they're back to a very comfortable surrounding, and that is going to be taking on the Cleveland Browns. Now, we know Harbaugh has run a pretty good operation there, which what seems like forever. Now they're on the road. They're a dog, and they're proving to be not a great bet as a home favorite, but as a road dog. 18-8-2 against the number as road underdog since 2016. 24-9-3 ATS overall in that underdog role, which is exactly where we find them. And meanwhile, the Browns still have Stefanski as a head coach. Now, granted, that defense has been phenomenal. It really, really has. I mean, kudos to the way they're actually living up finally to the hype. But ultimately, Stefanski's your head coach. And we all know at 7-14 against the number in these spots where they are a home favorite in a divisional matchup, we know they eventually figure out a way to throw up all over themselves. Yes, while it was a nice win against Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill doesn't move anywhere. Lamar Jackson does. He's going to be a much tougher quarterback to keep in check in this one. I think Baltimore bounces back. Injuries, no injuries. This is exactly the kind of spot you want to back the Ravens, which is exactly why I'll take the 2.5 and absolutely play them on the money line against the Browns.
And I will absolutely put them in the teaser because I'm a giant wuss when it comes to betting some of these divisional spots. I think they keep it within a touchdown. All right. On that note, I'm kicking you guys back out. It's time for 5 Minutes in Heaven. Wait, that's not the name of the segment. The LVC 5 is up next. Someone in the comment section decided we needed to name this segment, so we're going to call it the LVC 5. 5 minutes or less with Las Vegas Chris. Let's bring him in. Chris, everybody's really happy. You did a wonderful job explaining teasers last week. Hit a nice best bet. You'll have another one of those for us this week. Let's kind of reiterate what you mentioned last week. Talk about a couple teaser spots for this week, and maybe we'll get a couple more comments to give us some more ideas, if you will, of how to get into the grade of yours.
I did use an example of staggering the parlay or the teasers for different times. And I did use the example of a 3-team teaser is going to pay you plus 160, plus 170, plus 180. And I gave the example of the Jets and Pittsburgh, and you could leave the Rams Monday night, and you're getting plus 160 to 180 on that. And you leave yourself a position of either keeping it or a possible middle opportunity. And where does it land? It lands on that 3. So we get greedy and scoop. This week, I want to just touch base because I mentioned last week about having to get to the 8 and to check your house rules. For people that missed that, it's really important that you go, all your apps, every place that you bet is going to have a place called house rules. Check your teaser rules to see what the policies are because they are different everywhere. You don't want to be placing your teasers in a location where if you get a push on a leg that you lose. That's idiotic. So that's one thing that you're going to want to check. You want to check your teaser prices. You can't be laying more than 120 on 2-team teasers. And little known fact that, believe it or not, the standard was that any push on a 2-team teaser actually just voids the bet. So a push and a loss is actually a no bet. It's not a loss. So a lot of people in Vegas used to go around throwing their tickets on the floor because they lost a leg of a teaser. They pushed the other leg, and they didn't realize they could get their money back. So Caesars and William Hill, for example, have that policy. A push and a loss is a no bet. Did you know that, Kelly?
I did actually. I learned that, I think, from John Murray at the Superbook a few years ago. He mentioned that to me. It's very interesting because, again, always check your house rules no matter what you're betting, because a lot of people don't do that. And then the new thing is, Chris, with all the young kids, is they want a refund.
What can I say? Don't get me started on that. I'm definitely anti-refund. It's the participation trophy generation. That's what it is. Hey, let's do something different this week, Kelly. I want to quickly touch on each game because we've got a full slate. It looks like we've got a lot of teasers in play this week, doesn't it?
And it did. Initially, early in the week, Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, Packers, Eagles was my list. That was on Sunday. Now, some of them have moved up to 3. Some of them have been in the teaser protection. So kind of a lot of things have moved out of what I would have normally done a 6-team, 2-team teaser on.
Let's take a quick look here. If you have an interest in the Packers, there's a couple of 2s, and you can get that 8 on a 2-team 6-point teaser, which is kind of important. Don't ignore trying to get that 8. So if you like Green Bay, you do have a chance there. The Jaguars, Falcons, you can't do that. You can't. I want to remind people, you can't tease off the 3. It's just bad for business. Your business, your wallet. Even though I did it last week, I'm a hypocrite, but I tell you the truth. You can't tease to the 3 or from the 3 because you lose too much value. You've got the same problem with the Steelers, Texans. Can't tease there. The Rams is down to pick and 1, so that's no longer teasable. Want to keep our eyes on that game, though. You can't tease. No use doing the Vikings game. Tampa Bay, can't tease that game. Washington or Philadelphia, you can do down to 2.5 on a 6-point teaser. So that's one that can go with Green Bay. Miami is one that you can go up to 8.5. That fits the profile. Tennessee fits the profile. I'd be kind of cautious on that one, though. We don't know what they're up to. They could be a bad team. Baltimore, Cleveland, you can't do. It's a solid 3. If it goes down to 2.5, you can do it. Denver and the Bears, you can't do it there. Chargers, 5.5. We've learned you can't take a teaser on anything 7 or less. So remember that. You either do a money line parlay or you do something else with it. The very next game, Cowboys -7. A lot of people like to tease that down. It's a loser. It's a net loser. You don't want to do that. It's not one that you want. The 2 double-digit ones you don't want to do. And the Seahawks or the Giants, wherever that line goes, that's going to make a good teaser selection. Not as many as you think, though, because of all those 3s.
I would have to agree. I looked at teasing Seattle, who has looked very good in their second year. At least on the road, I will say. I thought the Panthers were going to get in that back door last week, but they did not. Chris, when it comes to some of these teaser spots that are no longer, do you just say, all right, just wait until Sunday, see what unfolds? Or are you more of the guy, if it didn't fit the bill early in the week, you don't want it on Sunday?
No, the best times to get teasers are in the beginning or on game day, generally. It's not a absolute rule, of course, but early or late, if you know where the line's going to move, getting them early is really nice. So then you're getting a lot of extra points. And one of the problems, though, is some of your stuff, you got to wait for it to get back into range, maybe it left range. So my favorite teaser combination, which I bet several different ways, several different combinations, is no longer available. So if I had not gotten in early, no way, Jose.
All right. Well, on that note, since your best teaser is no longer available on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, then I have no choice to ask you for a different best bet.
I really like the Rams and Seattle tease. So if you guys see those lines come back, which they very well may, and you can get over the 7.5, you might have to do a 6.5 pointer. I'd really like that combination. And because that combination is not available, I'm doing a push away. I don't have another teaser recommendation. All the other teaser combinations I have problems with. And you know why? I don't place a teaser unless I'm willing to bet the point spread also. So I think that if you're just trying to pick teams just because they're a teaser possibility or they fit a Wong criteria, That's not good enough for me. I want the value to be good enough for me to bet that on the point spread anyway, and that's either an additional bet or an at least qualified for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Chris. I would agree with that. But you know what? After talking with you last week, I really liked the Raiders last week, but also getting the Steelers plus 8.5 was really nice. And it made me not hate Josh McDaniels as much when he elected to kick that field goal. So sometimes when you do middle those things, I should have came back with the Bengals on Monday night at 2.5. But when it hit 3, I got a little scared. So I did not get a middle of that game with you. But the Rams to close out 4 other teaser legs was a nice treat after betting the Bucs on Monday Night Football.
Well, we got you to dodge those Jaguars. I told you that was a dog with fleas, I think. I've got one thing, though. One play. I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to follow up on what I mentioned in earlier weeks. And I'm going to use a parlay, not to make big money, but to get 2 games that I really like. I don't want to lay 3. I don't want to lay 3 with a team that just lost by 50, and they're on the road laying 3. No, sir. I think I don't want that on my resume. But I'll throw it as the first leg of a money line parlay minus 170. And I like the Chargers a lot. I have that line much higher than where it is now. And with these divisional games, they can get a little close and unpredictable. So I'd like to use that as the second leg of my parlay. I think I put it in there at minus 250. So if they both come in, I get plus 125 on my wager. I'm not trying to hit the mother load. I'm just trying to find 2 solid plays that I like and to get a nice, a fair return.
All right, Chris. I like to hear that because I want to use the Chargers in a couple of my survivor pools. And I got a little nervous there sometimes with Brandon Staley, but you're right. Just need them to win, not cover. He is Las Vegas, Chris. If you guys have a question for Chris, jump in the chat box. We're always listening. That's why we named it the LVC5, because you guys had some suggestions, said we needed to name it. And 5 minutes with Las Vegas Chris always makes us better betters. All right, guys. If you watch the college football edition, you already know I have bad news. If you didn't, please don't be mad at me. We're all entitled to take some time off, and that is what Ace VR, the Greek gambler, has done this week. He's in Florida, actually, and I tried to get him to jump on for a quick second, and all he did was send me this selfie picture. So I did everything that I could do to try to get him to, if you go over to his Twitter, at Greek_gambler, and put some pressure on him. Maybe we can get him to tweet out a video or 2 from the beach with some of that gold. Again, don't kill the messenger. But if you want to get mad in the comment section, it helps with the algorithm, so you guys can do that. And on that note, we're going to get right into it. It is time for best bets. And Marco and I went a couple rounds in the Slack channel today, and I ultimately lost. He beat me with the best bet. And shockingly, this is 4 weeks into the season, and we haven't gotten in a fight yet. But I'm going to give it to him. I like these both the same. One is just a lot more easy to digest. This almost feels like it belongs in Marco's Deli because it is gross. The battle of the 0-3 teams. And of course, guess who's taking the underdog? Yeah, that would be me. I'm pulling up my fun stat right now. But first, let's talk about what we saw last week. Andy Dalton and the Panthers hung with the Seahawks for a better part of 3 quarters, and then ultimately their defense could not keep up. On the flip side, the Vikings absolutely had opportunities to beat Brandon Staley and the bonehead Chargers, except for Kirk Cousins threw that interception. Kevin O'Connell, whoa, I don't know who gets fired first. Could be this weekend. He might not get back on the plane to Minneapolis. Since 2005, when 2 winless teams play, the underdog, 71-37-4 against the spread. I'll give a little credit to John Ewing. He tweeted this one out, and I fact-checked it, and it is real. Getting 3 in the hook here with Andy Dalton, or even if it's not Andy, and it just so happens to be Bryce Young, I think I'm okay with it here. The Vikings have coughed up the ball so many times this year, and I know we talked about them leading up to this season, how they went 11-0 in one-score games, and then we were going to see some regression, but boy, have we seen some regression. Also, Minnesota has just been absolutely trash against the NFC South, 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games. Give me the home dog here in this series. If I had to choose, I would take the Red Rifle over Bryce Young, but I think either one of them gets it done for us on Sunday. Marco D'Angelo, can you please give everybody our best bet for this week?
Yes, Kelly did like the same side, but, thank God for timestamps. I got it in there first. And it is the Buffalo Bills -2.5. And Kelly, I always tell you, no team is as good as their best game, nor are they as bad as their worst game. And when it comes to best games, you cannot possibly have had a better game than the Miami Dolphins had last week. What was that? Did they just score again? They just kept scoring and scoring. 70 points last week. They hung up on the Denver Broncos. I thought the Broncos were supposed to have a good defense. I thought that was the one part of this team that wasn't broken, but Miami showed that it was. With that said, now we're looking at the Buffalo Bills. They're 2-1 on the season. Honestly, they're supposed to be 3-0. The game they lost, that first Monday night game against the Jets and Aaron Rodgers for 4 plays. How did they lose that game? 4 turnovers in that game. And somehow the Jets managed to win the game with no offense at all. This is a spot where, I hate to say it, 4th week of the season, this is almost a must-win game for the Buffalo Bills. Why? Well, as I said, Miami's 3-0. They're 2-1. If Buffalo loses this game, they go to 2-2. Not a big deal, right? Well, you lose the head-to-head matchup, which then means that 2-game lead for Miami is actually 3 because they would own the tiebreaker. Buffalo needs to get this game. And to quote Chris Berman, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. We're going to go ahead and take them here. And if you look, let's not forget, this is Miami's 3rd road game in 4 weeks. Not the best situation, especially going into a hostile environment. I think the Buffalo Bills find a way to get it done. Miami, yeah, they've moved the football well. They moved it against the Chargers, who we know does not have a good defense. Last week, they struggled with New England for a good part of the game. They did win the game 24-17, but Buffalo's got way more weapons than New England does. And then last week, that Denver game, no offense for Denver, no defense for Denver. It just was too easy. Give me the Bills, 34-21. I'll go ahead and take the Buffalo Bills as my best bet.
Marco, the look-ahead line to start the season on this one was 5.5. So shows how good the Dolphins have been playing. Another little fun stat I was going to use for my best bet was since 2005, teams are 3-0 against the spread in week 4. Favorites, 26-16. That's 62% against the spread. Underdogs, 4-13 against the spread. Ooh. Miami, I don't even know if I could put them in a teaser at this point, plus the 2.5. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Joe Raineri, I have not done very good on my best bets, basically 50% on the season. You've done a little bit better than me, but I need you to pick it up here because Marco, I'm sick of him showing off and then, of course, stealing the one best bet that I'm going to win this week when the Panthers get blown out by 2 scores.
Yeah, well, it was, I was going to take Houston, but I had to change that because Marco somehow time-stamped it again and beat me to it there, taking Houston over his Pittsburgh team. So I too pivoted into a play that I think I'm going to start playing a little more often here moving forward, and Dan's going to be happy about this. I am going to take his Eagles in the first half, laying 4.5 here at home. Looking for a little bit of revenge here. You may recall that that was quite the ass whooping they took as a double-digit favorite on a Monday night game last year against this Washington team. But the reality is with Sam Howell, who got exposed by that Buffalo defense last week, they're not scoring a whole lot well early in games. In fact, they're averaging just about a touchdown now in the first half of their games through 3. And meanwhile, Philadelphia, same old, right? We knew this last year to start, where they were just absolutely phenomenal early in games, especially second quarter, where they'd go into the half with a monster lead, then kind of just play keep away in the second half. Well, that's where I'm going to play this one, too. I fully anticipate Philadelphia to come out there, impose their will. They're averaging a little over 2 touchdowns a game in the first half so far this year. I don't see why that changes here. I think they're going to do exactly what they want to do against this Washington team. They'll go in with a 17 to 7 lead, 14-7 lead, something along those lines. And then they'll play keep away in the second half better than anybody. So I don't mind laying the 4.5. I think they're going to go into the break up at least a touchdown, if not more, against this Washington team. And mostly because I do not trust Sam Howell to be able to go toe-to-toe with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia for this one. So I'm going to take him in the first half here.
All right. I did that. I bet against this team on Monday night. We all know how well that worked out for me, so I don't blame you not wanting to step in front of the birds. But on that note, we're done with the show. Busy Wednesday over at Wager Talk for me, so I got to get the hell out of here and go film Kelly and Murray. We love you guys. There's your graphics so you guys can all scroll to the end instead of watching the show. At least jump in the comments section. Give us a like, subscribe. Help us out if you are a big fat cheater. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show as much as we always do filming it. From Joe, Marco, Ralph, Andy, Las Vegas, Chris, VR, and myself, good luck. NFL Week 4. Until next week, let's bet on it.